This KELOLAND Living segment is sponsored by Midwest Supplemental Partners. It's all about peace of mind by providing flexible supplemental insurance coverage that helps real people be better prepared for life's unexpected moments.
We all assume we're covered, but do you really know what your insurance protects and where the gaps might be?
From cancer and critical illness to life and long-term disability, those missing pieces can take a serious financial toll and leave your family vulnerable when you need the help the most.
Tara Cox is the agency owner and agent with Midwest Supplemental Partners, and she's here with some good news. She says there are more options than ever, and coverage today can be tailored to fit your life.
But not all policies are created equal, which is why taking a closer look at what you have with a trusted expert can make all the difference. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are under the idea or the assumption that what we got for insurance at work or what our base level is covering everything we need. And we might not even think of these options of supplemental insurance. So maybe talk to us a little bit about what supplemental insurance even is.
Yeah, and you're right. That's a very common assumption. And myself, I've fallen into that same world. And so supplemental insurance, or supplemental health insurance to be specific, is just additional coverage designed to help pay for costs that your primary health insurance doesn't. And because we have the health insurance marketplace, or you may have coverage through your employer, there's just a wide variety of what your coverage looks like, from what co-pays, deductibles, and all of that. And because sometimes we have to make decisions based on the cost per month, that coverage can actually be sometimes more of a catastrophic coverage versus what you need day in and day out to take care of your health. And so supplemental can come in and fill those gaps if you have a higher deductible or if you have co-pays for a lot of things, and just generally out-of-pocket costs that you are responsible for to get the care that you need for your health.
Yeah, we're looking at some of those common gaps right now. Maybe talk us through some of those other ones.
Yeah, so with the supplemental health, if you're employed, your employer does provide some sort of short-term disability or long-term disability or one or the other. But a lot of people also don't think about that, or if their employer doesn't offer that. Like if you're unable to work for whatever reason, from an accident or a sickness, if you can't work, there's no money coming in to provide for yourself or your family. And then there's a critical illness, which covers generally everything from heart attack to cancer. There's a policy that I have that covers Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, which is pretty unheard of. But those are very, very common and a growing concern. Cancer coverage, and again, there's such a variety. So you may have something, but it could be pretty limited. Helping with the gaps in your employer coverage. And, employers do their best, but sometimes, they do just provide health insurance. And so depending, again, what your individual needs are, you may want to do something else there.
How often should a person check their coverage to make sure that, it meets their needs?
I would say at a minimum, think about it through every life transition. You're just getting married, or you're having children, retirement, or kind of just key ages. I would, I would say no less than every 5 years, because just the way the world changes so quickly. Whether inflation hits or a job loss, lots of things impact, how you look at that. And I wouldn't say you should just go cancel your coverage, but just a review to make sure that, you're protected financially and that your healthcare needs are met with the coverage you have.
Now, can I come to you with my current maybe employer insurance and say, help me find the gaps? I might see that I have disability insurance, but you might point out it's only at 60% of my income. And I might think, well, that's not going to work for me. But I might not be able to kind of find those gaps myself.
Yeah, no, that's what I love to do. I've been in human resources for pretty much all of my career. And so I've sat with employees, that same thing. So that question comes up a lot. So I do enjoy doing that, and I will always give you the honest opinion of, this is really great. Here's the only thing I would suggest. And it may not be anything that I could really help with, but I want to make sure people are always set up for success no matter what they do. But a lot of employers, because it's more affordable to them, will offer long-term disability. So what's missing is that short-term. And that's where we find, whether you're self-employed or, you have a growing family where if you're down and out for 6 months, that short-term disability can really help provide. So
Right.
Yeah, just because two insurances are labeled the same doesn't mean that they have the equal coverage, right? So what's the difference between consumers pay close, what should consumers pay close attention to?
Sure. Well, first, just take a minute to just look at and think about what your actual needs are. You may have been sold a policy 5 or 10 years ago, and your needs, have changed. And whether that's, a growing family, or you've escalated in age, so to speak, you may need something a little stronger. And I would say stronger as in more benefits.
Yeah.
And so, at the time, what you could afford 10 years ago, you may have the luxury of affording a lot more now and greater coverage. There are some policies that have a guaranteed issue amount, and take advantage of those when you can, because then you don't have to answer the medical questions. But when you were talking about all policies aren't equal, there's also pre-existing conditions to think about, and how long those waiting periods are. Those can vary a little bit. So if you do know you might be going through some checks in your health right now, that's something to consider, maybe getting ahead of that with some coverage just in case. And then also, what does it cover? So like I mentioned earlier, one policy covers Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and it's called a critical illness policy, and this one over here does not.
Right.
But like I have Alzheimer's and dementia in my family, that's really important to me. So I'm looking for that specifically.
Right.
And then, sometimes your children are covered for free on certain policies. And so take advantage of that too. And those are the little details that we often overlook.
And when you look at the different options, I know you brought up, cancer insurance and critical illness. Also long-term care insurance.
Yes, that one's coming up a lot for me in my world, and that's a variety of ages. There's no perfect age that you should be considering it. But as we get older, all the premiums unfortunately go up. But those are definitely different than they were 10 years ago. It used to be just kind of a set, very traditional long-term care. Now there's actually ways that it is packaged with a life insurance policy or an annuity, and it's called hybrid. So you get the best of both worlds, and if you don't need the long-term care portion, or you don't use all of those benefits, you can actually use it in the other function of the life insurance or the annuity. And so for those of us that like our money to work for us, like those are really smart things to be thinking about.
And real quick before we go, we look at our insurance and we know there's an open enrollment period. Can you sign up for supplemental insurances outside of that?
It just depends. If everything's running through your employer, maybe not. You may need to stick to those rules, but you can also buy coverage for yourself outside of your employer, and that's completely yours. And so you can sign up for those at any time.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Taking the time now to understand your options and close those gaps can make a big difference for you and your family down the road.
For more information or to schedule a free personalized coverage review, you can connect with Midwest Supplemental Partners by phone at 605-951-0053 or online at midwestsupplemental.com to get started today.
This KELOLAND Living segment has been sponsored by Midwest Supplemental Partners. It's all about peace of mind by providing flexible supplemental insurance coverage that helps real people be better prepared for life's unexpected moments.
Still ahead, more inspiration, more style, and more reasons to smile.
Don't go anywhere.